Welcome to another edition of Crop Concerns for Video. I'm Marcia Gorel, the agriculture reporter for the Marshall Democrat News, and I'm here with Wayne Crook, our University of Missouri Extension agronomist. Well, Wayne, we're about done with harvest, or pretty much done with harvest. I think there's still some beans out, but so now it's time for fall field work. Is some getting done in the area, or?
Yeah, there's a lot of field work being done right now. A lot of people putting on fertilizer. They're working the ground, deep, minimum tillage, no-till, cover crops. A little bit of everything's going on right now, trying to get ready for next year.
Right. What about wheat being planted? Have people planted that?
There's still people planting wheat. I saw 2 drills running yesterday.
Okay.
So they still got time to get the wheat in and get adequate growth so it won't winter kill. So it should be in good shape. I think there is a little more wheat going in this year, though, than we had last year.
I wondered about that. It seems like there is. I've seen more, I think.
Well, they've had more time. They got the crop out earlier. They want to do something with the dry conditions we got. Wheat may be a more sure crop than corn or beans next year because we should have moisture to get it up and produce a crop.
Well, they say plant in the dust, your bin will bust. Isn't that what they say about wheat?
Heard that before. It's good for the seed salesman, at least.
Okay. Well, what about the moisture? How's that going to affect things this fall? Or
This fall, we've got plenty of surface moisture in the top foot or 2 inches. But the problem is we haven't got the subsoil recharged yet.
okay.
It's going to take a lot of rain to get that subsoil recharged. I know some places around here in that first rain we got from Isaac got up to 12 inches.
Wow.
But none of it made it to the ditch. So they may be a little better off than some of the other areas where they just got 2 or 3 inches.
Right.
Weather forecasts, I've seen 3 separate weather forecasts on the rain. And they basically tend to say that El Nino is kind of dying off. And that's usually what provides the moisture during the winter to build up our subsoil moisture. So right now they're predicting maybe average to less than average. And they've got some serious concerns about rebuilding the subsoil moisture right now.
Right now. But, of course, anybody's guess. I don't even know what we know
nice.
it was mild.
It'd be nice to be a weatherman. No matter what you say, you still get paid.
There you go. There you go. What about putting on fertilizer now? Is this a good time?
Your phosphorus, potassium, micronutrients, this is a good time to put them on. If you need to put any lime on, this is a good time to put it on. When we do get precipitation, it will work them into the ground in no-till, conventional till. Nitrogen is still a little too early. The soil temperatures are still running about 60 degrees.
Okay.
And we really need to get the temperature for anhydrous down to 50 and below. Kind of 50. You want to at least average 50 degrees for your soil temperature, so
Okay.
it needs to be a little bit cooler to average at.
Okay. Well, it's starting to cool off, so I guess we'll see what happens. So, what about doing soil tests? I know some people like to do soil tests in the fall. Is this a good time?
This is a good time to do soil tests, especially with the kind of crop we had this year, whether the crop came up short, or they took off silage, or they baled hay, or they didn't get a crop. They need to see how much is in the soil and relate that to how much they think they took off, so they can get a more accurate prediction of their fertility needs for the next year.
Okay.
And then they go ahead and probably there are some fertilizer elements still left in the soil, and they can take advantage of them instead of putting them on again.
Okay.
It should save them some money.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's always a good sign. Good
Every little
sign.
bit helps.
And if somebody takes their own soil test, what do they need to do with that? Can they bring it in here to the extension, or
Right,
do
they
need
bring them into the extension office, and then they'll send it off the lab, and the results come back in about a week.
Okay, and I know area elevators also do that for people
Yeah.
too. Okay. All right. What about nematode tests? That was kind of something you had talked about in one of your previous columns.
Yeah, this year it's kind of difficult to know if you really had nematode damage because it kind of mimics drought damage too.
Right. Everything was just dying, let's
Yeah.
face it, yeah.
And the nematodes would have made it worse if you did have them. So,
Right.
so if you lost yield in beans, it may not only be the dry weather, it may be the nematodes. But right now is a good time to get the sample, take it off, take the sample close to the row. Then you can send it off to the lab, and then they'll tell you what your nematode population is. The other thing is, right now we've got one source of nematode resistance, PI 88788.
Okay.
It's in probably 98% of the lines out there. Because of using one source of resistance from every bean that we plant out there, we could be increasing populations even though we're planting resistant varieties.
Okay.
And producers need to know what the population is so that they can manage it. They may need rotation, they may need to change sources of resistance. But if the populations could be building up, even though they are planting resistant varieties. The other thing is, if they are only planting resistant varieties and they don't have nematodes, that may limit their choice of varieties that they can use in their production system. So if they find out they don't have them, they may be able to make better choices that would suit their management practices.
Okay. What about variety testing? I know the university always does plots. Is some of that information coming in yet now that we're about done with harvest? And
Well, it's probably a little late, but wheat is in and the books are out for wheat.
oh, well, that's
Yeah.
good.
Corn, all the data is on the AgEb website.
Okay.
And it's for all the locations they harvested. There's about 5 or 6 locations they did not harvest this year due to low yields or extreme variability.
Okay.
Those books are not out yet, but they should be coming soon. Soybeans, as of the 23rd, only half data had been reported in only half of the locations.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how many will be harvested or which ones they've used, but there's only 10 out of 20 locations reported on the website again.
I know in Saline County we're probably 80 to 90% done. What kind of yields have you heard about soybeans? I know it was kind of I know some people have talked about it being a little bit of a miracle.
Actually, I've heard anywhere from 5 bushel an acre to 100 bushel an acre.
100 bushel an acre. Oh
One
my.
report.
Okay.
One report of 80 bushel. Generally 50 to 60 is catching a lot of the fields.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, there's some above.
That must be in that good ground.
Not necessarily, but 40 to 50 bushel with the prices is still good for this year.
Right, right. And it was just the one rain that we got in Isaac made the difference. Is
Yeah.
that
Isaac didn't make that much difference. I think they were just doing better than you thought before we got that.
really?
All the seeds that were going to be made were on the plant when Isaac came through. All Isaac allowed them to do was to keep what seed was on there and maybe fill out the seed size better. It didn't create any new seeds.
No, it's amazing they're as drought resistant as we thought.
It is. Everybody's pleasantly surprised with beans. I haven't talked to anybody that wasn't really surprised. There's some of them, Sheridan County, he was doing 20, 25 bushel and took a peek with it.
Yeah, well,
So it's all over the board, but everybody came out better than they expected.
okay. Well, I want to thank you, Wayne, for another edition of Crop Concerns for Video, and I want to thank our sponsor, Central Missouri Agri-Service, and also to our videographer, Sarah Reed. Thank you. Until next time.